All right. What's up, everybody? We are back for another open court discussion live in the Counselor's Corner. I am your host, David Lorenzo Glover, aka the Controversial Counselor. Joining me is my co host, the Big Bad Wolf, Herb Lewis.
Oh,
That's a long growl. It must be the subject matter tonight. Tonight, February 2nd, we will be discussing the topic cheat sheet, navigating side pieces, the good, the bad, and the messy. We'll be looking into the essential question: why do people choose to have side pieces? We're going into the do's and don'ts of navigating extra relationship connections. Buckle up. Let's get real and keep it 100, transparent. Who is ready to get honest about side pieces? Let this marinate in your mind. The two reasons why someone has a side piece: number one, emotional void. They're not getting what they need from their main relationship. And two, thrill seeking. The excitement and secrecy are a turn on. That's just two of them. So stay locked in. Make sure you like and share our video, and please subscribe to the YouTube channel, The Controversial Counselor. I think we're sitting at 1,036 subs, 64 away from the 1.1 mark. Keep riding with us. You see the work. So here we are again. It's starting to pick up the subs and the viewage is getting close to the 450,000 mark. So that's going to be nice to see 500,000. That means almost a half a million. So that's to me that's work. That's putting in work. When you anytime you're approaching half a million or something. I wish I was saying that about my bank account. Like I almost got a half a million. Be all good. All good. But hey, you keep pushing forward, and here we are today. Just went back to work, was off for a week. Well, off 3 days. Then we had virtual 2 days last week, and today we went back to work with a 2 hour delay. And but basically, I don't know if it still wasn't. I don't think it was still ready with that snow on the side. And you think about kids walking to school and streets that were two-way streets end up being one-way streets because the way that the snow was plowed and the way people shoveled and the way cars are just hanging out. So it wasn't. But after a while, you feel the pressure and got to get the kids back into school, but with that risk. And I hope nothing happens to anyone because it definitely isn't cleaned up for total operation without chaos. And even today, just getting in, it was a little chaotic. Let's see. All right. Big Bad Wolf, what's good with you?
my man, shoot, just laying back in the cut, man, trying to weather all this bad weather. It's been an odd winter because January really wasn't too bad. It's like been about the last week and a half or so where temperatures. I'm looking now is 19 degrees, and that's the warmest it's been in probably about 2 weeks. So it's been tough, and at least here, for those who understand the lake effect snow and how it functions here, we're probably done with getting the tremendous amounts of snow because the Lake Erie, which is capitally where that snow for the lake effect snow comes from, it's pretty much cold enough to where it's not going to produce the snow. So that warm air that comes over is just going to be cold air. So we're probably done with the huge snow totals. It's just going to be the cold. So, I mean, we're making our way through it. We're in February, so we're gonna get some cold blasts. But I think in terms of the heavy snow, we done with it. The Super Bowl's coming up. And that Super Bowl usually marks that time where, okay, you know what? We just got to tough it out. You got to bundle up and just get through it as best you can because once March hits, things tend to start to kind of look up, kind of start to thaw out. But I mean, that's what it is. I'm ready to get the show on the road with this house, man. I need to get this place done, so I can sit
So
around. People don't have to sit around and look at this nonsense. But yeah, it's life though. Life is living this life. I'm complaining.
and also people last night we had a very important show talking about potential school that's coming for those of you in Niagara Falls, New York. Elementary charter school is in the process of going through the paperwork to get approved. So stay tuned. That'll be any options, any choices is a good opportunity for you to have young children, or if you're grandparents and you want the best for your grandkids, or some of you grandparents are raising your grandkids. So it's a good opportunity. And anytime you have the excitement around a potential new student, even has the students want to be the best and want to learn, when it's associated with something new or the first time, because they set the tradition. And so stay tuned for that. Shout out to Tony Riley, who was leading that uh, campaign or journey to put that into place.
I'm excited to see how that turns out. And it's funny. I was coming back with a friend from the VA today, and I'm cycling through my head of locations. When we talked about the wraparound services and the all inclusive schools, and and a reimization or imagery of what a new school building could look like. And in this area, we've had a ton of Rite Aids that have closed down just because Rite Aid has gone out of business. So all those buildings are sitting vacant, and those buildings are nestled right in neighborhoods, more than capable of being refurbished, um, reused, however they want to do it to do schools. I know right now the Fashion Outlet Mall, in about 3 or 4 years, that building might be available, and that building sits literally in the heart of Niagara County. So it's a half an hour drive from Lockport. It's on the busing route in Niagara Falls. Hell, it's not that far from Lewiston. It certainly isn't that far from Wheatfield. So with a location like that, you could draw from multiple districts and defray the cost across that spectrum as well. These are, like I said, I think, and you mentioned this, and I give you the credit for mentioning this, the way schools and the school building, that's going to have to be reimaged. There's no way in the world, at least I don't see it, at least for districts that are struggling to do certain things. There's no way that those districts should not look into something that's viable like this. I don't see any other recourse.
And I think if the outlet, that'll be a massive building. Unfortunately, I don't know how the impact that is. Well, I know every time I come to town, I go to the mall, just run in and run out.
Right.
But to lose that, like, man, that's kind of a huge loss for the city of Niagara Falls. If but I know times I've been going, I've been seeing stores closing and stuff like that. So it's starting to empty out with some bills, police and stuff, and that might be due to online shopping and different things like that. People buy.
Their rents are being raised. They're it's a combination of online sales, like you said, but the rents that the owner is charging are forcing people out as well. So, like I said, that is a huge footprint. I mean, that's where Lacelle used to be, right there. So
Mhm.
you giving up one entity for another entity that Benderson owns the high school here. Benderson owns the mall, so Benderson is not losing anything. You're essentially transferring students from whatever locale it is to one. Like I said, you can draw from multiple districts or multiple townships. So the cost is defrayed. So, you know, if personally speaking, and I'm not in this position, if I was on a school board, if I was somebody that was in the ear business, and I said, hey, look, you may want to look into this. You may want to spearhead and lobby for, hey, look, I'll, whatever I can with the building, whether it's a pay over time or a deal in terms of selling the building or whatever it is. This is what we're looking at. This is what I can work with. Hey, you got everything you need in that building. You have a food court that can feed people because people are always concerned about food. So that's number one. You have the facilities there that can turn each one of those stores into a multi-home unit. So let's say you have a family who has a mother and two children. She wants 3 bedrooms because the rents here, man, they are just absolutely insane. A 2 bedroom apartment looking at $800-900, and these aren't even good. I mean, I've seen prison cells that are better than some of the apartments here, and I am not joking. And they're getting that kind of money. And this is what I was telling my friend when we were coming home from the VA. I said, just imagine you put dentist offices in there, um, counseling offices, medical offices. And we were saying this last night. Everybody goes there. Everybody knows where it is. So 10, 15 years you spend there as a parent, now you understand how things function. And however the utilities are being paid, whether they have an agreement that they pay this much or a percentage or whatever the case it is, that money that they aren't spending, they can put aside. So 10, 15 years they spend in this place, they get out with ten, $15,000, go invest in a home. Or they can go, and I've been saying this multiple times, they can go with somebody and start an LLC and buy a building, start leasing out property. I mean, there's a multitude of things that can be done with this type of stuff, but people have to be willing to invest in it, and they have to be willing to engage the ideal. They just can't dismiss it outright, which is what a lot of people do when new concepts come along because they're afraid they're going to lose something.
Well, I know one thing, the transition into tonight's topic. This uh, is not nothing new, and it's been going on. And some of you may say, well, why are y'all talking about that? With everything that's going on, why talk about that subject? Because sometimes with everything what's going on, this has may have some, might be some of the background to some of the things that's going on. When you think about mental health, you think about finances or people not overall being happy with themselves, is sometimes side pieces come into play, and it doesn't have no age variation. And sometimes, a lot of times, people think, oh no, you 50 something, you 60 something, you almost dead. Well, if that's the way if that's the way you may view yourself, as somebody that's um almost dead at 50 or 60, but some people, they still live and kicking it. So we'll, jump into that matter. And but first, again, like I mentioned, two of the reasons, and I'll go back and mention one of them again. Well, all of them, but I mentioned two: emotional void, that they're not getting what they need from the main relationship, and then two, thrill seeking, the excitement and secrecy are a turn on. And I'm going to get into the other ones shortly, but we'll just start off with those two: the emotional needs that are not getting met. What does
Life.
that look like?
Life is what a lot of people, and it's just like you said, what a lot of people don't realize is life is similar to why we eat. It's a balanced diet. Very few people who ever lived do so or did so without ever being engaged with the opposite gender, or if you want to, with the same gender. There's always an emotional connection between women and men, even though in today's time, especially in Western cultures, it might be strained. It still exists, fraught with animosity, with with anger, with displeasure, and yes, and they still exist. People are still getting married. People are still having kids. People are still doing this. People are still doing that. So, like David said, this topic isn't going anywhere. Now, you may run from it, and hey, that's cool. We're not saying you have to engage in it, but we put this out there for the people that do so they understand how to move. Number one, I always like to start with NDA. She open her legs, you keep your mouth closed. Don't nobody need to know what y'all doing. We ain't heard about Melvin in a while, and guess why? And we know tax season's coming up, and we're in the midst of cuffing season. Those terms, didn't originate from nothing at all. Believe me. So there are people that are doing it, but like good, well behaved people don't. I got a list of do's and don'ts. They're being discreet, which is number two on the list. Number one was the DNA. Number two, being discreet. If you got people getting down, you don't need to go around town broadcasting it. You don't need to talk about what you're doing with who. It ain't their business. And I know you want to beat yourself on the chest. You want to pat yourself on the back and say, yeah, I'm tapping that. Well, what does that really do for you outside of maybe a slight ego boost? Do you think it's actually going to bring more people to your doorstep? No, probably not. It's not going to endear you to her because if she wanted the world to know, guess what? She would tell the world. She will make it official. You wouldn't be a side piece. You'd be the number one, the number two, and the number three. But that's how some people they want to get along. They got out of a long relationship. They still want that closeness. They still want that tingle. They just don't want all the other stuff that comes with. Matter of fact, there's a guy who does Daniel Lane commercials. It's a spoof of State Farm, and I don't know if you've seen it, but hop on YouTube and punch in Daniel Lane. He has a bunch of these, and one of them is a side piece. And the lady, the female, comes in. He says, "Why can't I stay tonight?" And he says, "Well, what kind of package do you have?" And he types it in. He says, "Oh, you have the side piece package, which means you're good for unlimited sex, but you can't stay the night. Dating?" He says, "Hell no. Cuddling? Hell no." And that's what it is. But we have to understand that sometimes we have to meet people where they are. And what that means is this: a female might see a guy, she's interested in. See him where the happy hours, might meet him at church, might meet him at a work function. Happy hour, well, no matter. And she drops a subtle hint. He catches the hint and says, "Well, what are you doing? Such and such." She says, "Well, it's not that kind of party." Perplexity said, "Well, what kind of party is it?" She said, "Look, I'm just looking for, a side piece." And I want people to understand something. No one has to necessarily be in a relationship, a committed relationship with somebody else in order to have a side piece. A side piece is just that, something or someone you're doing on the side that leaves your options open for you to do something else. So she's saying, "Look, I'm just looking for somebody to come tune me up every so often, and I'm going about my business." And some guys will be okay with that. Some women will be okay with that. What I would suggest, is have that discussion first. And I talked about this a couple of weeks ago. Sit down and you cross almost like you would a business contract, because in essence, what you guys are agreeing to, tacitly or otherwise, is, hey, look, this is the kind of relationship we're going to settle for. I'm gonna come through. If you got kids, they're gonna be in the bed. We ain't popping no popcorn. We ain't watching no movies. We just gonna put some Marvin Gaye on, and we're gonna let the record groove. We gonna do our thing. And about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm sliding about. I'm gone. Maybe hear from you next week. I'm not gonna call and check on you, see how you doing. I'm not gonna call and check and see if you're stranded. If you got a flat tire, or mechanical problem, call somebody else. That's not what I'm here for. And I know that's gonna irritate some people, but look, that's what the side piece package is, and this is why you guys sit there and hash all the stuff out. So there is no animosity. There are no hurt feelings. Somebody can say, "Well, I can't believe he treating you like that," because nobody's gonna know.
But
Go ahead.
does it truly work like that when sometimes things might start off as a jump off or a side piece, and then people catch feelings.
Mhm.
People travel the path. We always talk about people travel the path of least resistance. So you may be getting slack at home from your woman or man, and but then you go over there and you're like, oh, I'm at peace. This feels so good. Then you start having those delusions like, man, this is where I want to be. And everything intensifies. It used to be, once a week or something. Then it started being a couple times. Then y'all start venturing off. Like, okay, we're not gonna go out to dinner here, but we can go over to the next town and hang out and have dates and stuff. And things start getting real. And I think that's the messy side of it all, because the agreements, don't call me if you text me and I don't answer, then I'm busy, and sometimes people are compliant on that. But then when those emotions and those delusions kick in, they're just freaking shit, blowing you up, texting, calling, um, and you're looking and you're like, damn, why do I got 10 missed calls by her? And then that's when things start getting messy. And then eventually they'll say, somebody will say, I really care for you. I'm starting to feel for you. I can't do this anymore. Or they may even say, I'm gonna I'm gonna put it out there and do something that for your woman or man to know, like, this has been going on. And sometimes people do stuff cryptically through social media to try to put things out there. I just seen some grown ass woman, like, I don't know, she got to be close to 50, but was posting about her little side piece of 9 years. But she included the name and everything and wanted everybody to know that they still getting it in and to get off her, as she say, her dick. But because he was just moaning in her bed 20 minutes ago, and I'm like, for real? Like, for real? Like, how old are we? Like, for real? But those emotions get the best of you, and that emotional intelligence that you start losing control, and that's the messy aspect of it. Just wanted to throw that in there.
Oh no, it's funny because that's and the thing about the do's and the do nots, they almost mirror each other to the point where you can't really tell them apart. And this is why it becomes important to guard against yourself. Now, what does that mean exactly? Just like David was alluding to, you have to understand that if you, we're not talking about the other person in the party, if you are starting to venture outside of the role that you agreed to. You need to start asking yourself, do I need to plan an escape route? Yes, an escape route. Because we know this is not probably going to end well. Even if the person doesn't have another option, or even worse, if the person is in a committed relationship, you trying to blow up their spot. We see it all the time on social media, just like David said, that a woman will issue an ultimatum. Usually it comes from a woman that issues the ultimatum here. That comes in the form of, oh, you gonna leave your wife and marry me, or I'm gonna blow it all up. Rarely do we hear that about the man. Now, what a man might do is he might try and just outright fight. Rarely do I hear that, but that's the only thing I think that a man might do that difference from what a woman might do. And there's the other thing too, that hasn't been mentioned as of yet. Pregnancy. That should be number two in the discussion round. I don't care if you're using condoms. I don't care if she's using uh whatever form of birth control she's using. The discussion needs to be had, because if and when that particular event occurs, there's going to be some turbulence in the air. She's got a decision to make, and she makes a decision that runs counter to what the man wants. He along for the ride. He's in a car that's careening out of control, and he don't know if it's going to hit a embankment. He doesn't know if it's going to go over a cliff. And when I say go over a cliff, I mean she's going to have that child, and ain't shit you can do about it. You on the hook. Heaven forbid if you got another side piece you're dealing with, and she's saying, okay, you know what? I want to move this into something a little more solid. And you're feeling this chick like that. Even though you got the one on the side, you say, I can cut her back because, what I'm getting for her, it suffices. But now she's saying, I'm number one now. I got the reins to this horse, and you coming with me. Now what are you going to do? You got to break the shorty that you've been messing around with her and another female, and the other female pregnant. You're going to say, well, when did this happen? I've been messing around with this female for about a year and a half. She worked across the street in this bank, and I work at this finance firm, and we just happened to meet one day while she was doing deposits, and I was doing some banking. And she looked good. I was like, yeah, I got a little side piece. I can squeeze her in a couple days during the month. Ain't no biggie. She's nice. She liked to go to sports. She liked to do this, even though we kind of agreed that we would just keep it a bedroom thing. But I know she kind of ticks some boxes for me. So now you're in all kinds of trouble just because you didn't have the discussion. And why do I advocate having the discussion? Because she might say, look, if I get pregnant, I'm keeping it. And you're not trying to have no kids. You can say, okay, babe, you cool, but you're not the one for me. And people don't realize that when you set up these kinds of safeguards, you protect yourself from yourself, so you don't get them too crossed. So even if you do catch feelings, you say, okay, you know what? I know I'm catching feelings, but I got to stop this. And there's a song by Simon and Garfunkel, 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover. Listen to it. Commit it to heart.
Well, one of the things I want to get into when you mentioned that the guy has a couple of the side pieces, yeah, I do realize that oftentimes it may be friends that travel in the same circle. But as much as y'all say, I've been said that shit years away, that cold stuff. Oh, the girlfriend code. I don't mess with this. I don't mess with that. It's not true. It's not true. Uh, and it happens, and that's why a reason why you never really should disclose what happens And what happens with you and a guy, um, especially when you start getting into intimacy, or what do you do to you, or oh my God,
Oh,
because people are visual. And, he's hanging out with you, but meanwhile, most of the time it's in a setting that when y'all get together, there's drinks involved and stuff like that. And next thing you know, your girlfriend, your homegirl, making googly eyes and stuff at him and thinking like, shit, she don't even act right towards him. Boy, if I had him, oh my God, like she don't even appreciate him. And next thing you know, well, you know how y'all grown ass people do it. Next thing you know, you're hardening up all his pictures and everything he posts, and then next thing you know, shit, you start inboxing. And while your ass at work 3 to 11, he chilling, and your girlfriend works 7 to 3. Shit, you like, girl, I ain't hear from you all day, whatever. You know why? 'Cause she was with Melvin, and they getting it in. I know y'all might like I'm being facetious, whatever, but y'all know that this
no,
stuff happens,
no,
whatever.
I'm going. I'm going to interrupt you for a moment, and I'm a true story. Over the weekend, I met somebody that you know. That was at one of the sipping dips. She called me out on it. She said, "Don't I know you?" She said, "Haven't I seen you at somebody else's house?" I was like, "Nah, not me." I said, there's only one home you could potentially see me at other than mine. And that's my brother's. I don't recall ever seeing you at any of his functions." She's like, "No, no, no, no. Um, Tasha's brother, David." I said, "Oh yeah. Now I'm not gonna tell you the name. I'm not gonna put her out there. I'll tell you off air. But I'm sizing up. I'm like, you know what, man." But her and I had a conversation, much like we're doing today, and I was flushing out some things as I like to do. I was like, you know what, she might do for a night or two or whatever the case, but she's involved. I'm giving y'all the real. I'm giving y'all the real. So this is how quickly. No, shout out to her. I didn't really push up on it like that, but this is how things can go down. You don't know where you might meet somebody at. I'm at work. She there with a man. Cool. Not going on. But I said if I was that kind of cat, I'd be pulling on them panties just despite you being there with him. Because I'm seeing how it's going down. But I ain't. So I didn't. She's cool. Her and I are cool. But it happens. So it happens with men too. The only difference is men will usually go their own ways once that becomes a thing, unless they in on it. Now, some cats will be like, "Yo, man, what's up with homegirl? I'm just doing da. Shit, if you want it, man, go ahead. It don't mean nothing to me." Snoop said in the song years ago, "It ain't no fun if the homies can't have none." You have some fellas that run in circles like that, and they do things like that. Women will say, "That's nasty. I can't believe men do that type of stuff." I'm not telling you that I sanction it. I'm just telling you, I know that some cats will get down like that, and they don't care. They'll be like, "Look, man, we got a shorty. She got a friend. Let's go get this weed, man. Let's go get something to drink. Let's go get nice." Next thing you know, all you hear is music and furniture moving. Come back 2 weeks later, they done switched up. They don't care. This is why you have these situations where you used to see on Maury Povich. People don't mess around with this person, they mess around with that person. This person don't mess around with this person's brother. Y'all saying, "Damn, yo, y'all twisted." because the do's and don'ts. They didn't understand that. Hey, look, this is your role. You play that role, and you got some people that try and get a promotion. Oh, this don't work like that. This is what you signed up for. Stay there. And if you and I understand some people will say, well, what if I want a promotion? What if I want more? Then you have to go find somebody that's going to give you what you want. You got to break that relationship off because you're no longer within the letter of the contract that you signed. You trying to violate, and that's how stuff really goes awry. That's how you end up having people flatten tires on cars, throwing bricks through windows, vandalism, all that other stuff. Trying to air somebody out, get them fired from their job, all this other nonsense that don't need to occur. If y'all
Well,
gonna have a consensual relationship, leave it at that.
well, that's the thing, and sometimes people want more of a role, but sometimes that requires you to eat that humble pie and keep it quiet. And the problem is people talk too much and they have to share everything. They get too giddy and they got to tell everybody this and that. And listen, as you get older, you still have your friends, but you learn to keep information to yourself that when you were younger, you would automatically, you wasn't at the level with the emotional intelligence, so you would, blurt things out and say everything. But as you start getting older, some things you learn how to adjust yourself, and you don't put all the information out there. Even it could be one of your tight homeboys, homegirls. But the problem is, I talk too damn much because everybody wants to be social again because of social media. If if you're someone and you know what the deal is, but you quiet, you go by the rules, but your peace. Eventually, that person he may want to come around, or she may want to come around more often,
Mhm.
because they say, hey, shit, to be honest, these are the best times I have. And I look forward to these 2 or 3 hours. Like shit, like all I think about when I'm stressed is our regular days or hours that we have together. That shit, I need more, but
Mhm.
you gotta be able to have, again, emotional intelligence or self control to say everything I do as a grown person. I do not have to let everybody know. Again, like I said, too much social media, too many group chats, too much conversation that really doesn't need to be, especially when you're a certain age. And I always say, we ain't no different from middle school kids. They doing the same shit, believe it or not. The same shit. Same shit. Only at a lower level. And I wish, again, one day I'm going to sit down when I had time and I will do a comparison. Uh, And I mean, I always talk about writing a book, Middle School Madness, but should I write a book? Our adults really middle schoolers. Uh, are we really middle schoolers? Because it's the same stuff that goes on. Group chats, people falling out in group chats. It's the same stuff that I hear on a day to day basis. People, oh, I used to like him, or I used to like her, but now she talking to him. Same shit adults talk about, and that's going on. So unless you, again, if you want to talk and you feel like you can't keep nothing to yourself, then you'll never get that opportunity to enhance. But if you someone low key, and the problem is being able to occupy your time, having something to do. And usually people who, and I always say this, if you're at 30 something, 40, 50, talk about you bored, you ain't got
Yeah.
nothing to do, and you got to get outside, you got to go outside. That says it all right there. That says it all right there because there's tons of things for people to do. Tons. It's not enough time in a day to accomplish everything that you need to do. Now, don't get me wrong. You might want to break up the monotony and like, okay, I want to do something different, whatever, than I normally do. But to be a grown ass person and talk about you bored, if your ass broke, eh, your account isn't looking the way it should, how the
Yeah.
fuck you talking about you bored? You should be working another job.
Mhm.
If you're unemployed and you talk about you bored, you should be getting a job. If you close to getting a promotion and all you have to do is take a couple classes or something to get certified, why are you bored?
Yeah.
Like, so you have to remove that from your vocabulary. And boredom don't always have to be being out at a nightclub on a scene or whatever. It's tons of other things to do when you're bored.
And I'll say this. I've How many years am I going back? This is probably about 7 years ago. Started dating this female, and maybe about a month or two afterwards, I got introduced to another female, real cool female. And you know what? I was committed to the one because I was having this conversation with some oddly enough with somebody else I started dealing with. So at one time particular, I was rotating three females essentially. Yeah, I know, shame on me. Um, and she had asked me. She said, "Well, does she know?" I said, "No." She said, "Well, why not?" I said, "Well, understand this." So because she said, "Well, that's not fair." I said, "Under no." I said, "I'm committed to her. Absolutely, there's no question about it." She said, "How can you be?" I said, "I'm committed to her, but I'm loyal to myself." And she started cracking up when I said that. I'm my needs supersede anybody's needs in a relationship. That's that's number one, always gonna be number one. Now the female that I started messing with on the side, we did everything together. And when I say everything, I mean all the things that I like to do. She know when she came through, she's a vegetarian. I'll say that much about her. Um, I cooked, make sure she had a decent meal. We watched a movie, and then we did what adults do. We went to see baseball games, basketball games, hockey games, football games. We did it. We did it all in public. Now, mind you, none of what we did hit Facebook. So when I tell you, you have to have the self discipline, just like David said. You got to know yourself. You got to know what your pitfalls are, what your strengths and weaknesses are. You can do this kind of stuff, but you have to find an individual who has the same mindset you do, the same kind of drive that you do, and has something along the lines that you have. Like I said, I'll never mess with nobody who doesn't have what I have. And, and she was well aware that I didn't have a car. So when we went places, guess what? She drove. I covered the expenses. So if we would go to Toronto and watch the Sixers game, I bought the tickets. I got the hotel room, or we may win half, or whatever the case was. We would go to Sabres games. I got a 6 pack. She come through, scoop me up, go to the game, drop me off at work. But, and I stress, but I was aware of what was going on. She understood what was going on, and we played our roles. There was never any haggling over money. We didn't fuss. We didn't fight. Matter of fact, I still have great contact with this female, and who knows what the future might hold. But, and I stress, but we kept it at a level. There would, and to be honest, because she couldn't get pregnant, so we didn't have to discuss it. She has one child. There's a lot of things that we didn't have to discuss per se because it was already understood. You got too many people out there who think things are understood, but they have never, ever sat down and had the conversation. You got to do that. It is paramount to have a conversation so you understand what the rules of engagement are. And once you understand what the rules of engagement are, you can do whatever you want to afterwards. But you shouldn't. I'm not going to say you can't, but you shouldn't go into this kind of a situation looking to manipulate some people because, somebody's going to catch feelings. And then, you know what? One of the don'ts is don't go seeking revenge. Don't spread your business. And another don't is don't abuse your leverage. Everybody comes into a situation with some kind of leverage. Now, the leverage could be that, hey, look, shit, she performed fellatio like I ain't never had it done before. So, man, she got me open. I gotta have it. I'm sitting at the office talking about I can't wait to see her, man. It's Tuesday. I don't get to see the Thursday, man. I don't know if I can hold out. So now you start texting her during the middle of the day, and she's like, yo, dude, I'm at work. Chill with all that. You'll see me. Or it might be the best. He might cook up a mean dish, and you ain't had nothing to eat, and you ain't had nothing good to eat. You ain't had nothing savory, nothing succulent. He's a chef, and he come through with the groceries and in the kitchen. And you just the thought of a man in your kitchen put together in a pair of boxes and a white beater cooking, it just turns you on. But you can't get that nowhere else. So you say, hey, you know what? Why don't we take this to the next level? I'm gonna give you a key. He said, no, I don't want that. I'm cool with what we have. And it happens. To deny that we all have levers and triggers that if they are pushed in the right order, we can't be moved to do things. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And this is why I don't always tell things about myself, because I know if given the right circumstances, the right situation with the right person, shit, I might be willing to forego a Sunday to go do something with you. Might. And you know how I am about my football. This is why this is why I keep some things to myself. Super Bowl's coming up, so no, I gotta find something to fill in on the Sundays. It might be movies with people. Hey, that's what I do. But people, you need to be aware of if you're gonna do these kinds of things, do's and don'ts, how you move, and more importantly, why you move how you move. Some people think they just, I'm gonna be out here and I would do this like this, and they don't have a rhyme, they don't have a reason, and some of them they don't care. They don't care if they leave a path of destruction behind them. They say, "Yo, I got with this chick, and she was a head case." Well, damn, dude, you made her a head case. Or there'll be some female that say, "I started dealing with this dude, and he started to behave narcissistically." Well, damn, you were telling him all this stuff, and he that had the wherewithal to question you, he was believing you. So now he went out and got you that nice little piece of jewelry you've been eyeing, about $2,500. Knowing good and well he shouldn't have did that shit. Knowing good and well he couldn't afford it. But he went out and did it anyway because you put some bug in his ear about something that was coming up and about how your feelings have been changing. He says, you know what? I've been feeling the same way too. And here you two are playing boo-boo the food. The only difference is and he doesn't. And that's where the leverage comes in, because you playing a role and he don't know no better. Or vice versa. She might do the same thing to you, to a guy, and caught up.
Well, speaking of all that, we know what's coming up. Not this Friday, but next Friday, Valentine's Day. Yeah. I just laugh because it's so scripted. It's the same old stuff. Y'all just won't get no creativity because, again, like middle school kids, gotta post shit, show it off. Look what my baby got me. It just reminded me so much of middle school, how they come in, they have their little stuff their little boyfriends bought them, and then they exchange gifts and they walk around. And that's good. They're kids. They should be happy. They should be able to, you know, enjoy that. Somebody showing you love, giving you attention. But when you're 50, 60, and you're almost, as y'all say, dead, what the frick a box of chocolate go do for your fat ass? Or I know I'm wrong for saying that, but what is it go do? What is some flowers go do? What is like for real? Like it's only so much that you can do from year to year with that. I mean, some people like, oh, we went out of town, we did this. You got to post pictures because, and again, one of the things is validation. People need validation, and that's why social media has become important because you need to be validated. Which y'all don't know. Every time you post something, you have different people coming in, and they like it or whatever. They only doing it so they could see who else is commenting, so they could be a part of that thread. So they're like, oh, let me like this, whatever, just to see who else chiming in. Because
Mhm.
again, we had a slew of women on here on this panel. They're collecting data. They're trying to see uh, the themes. Who's liking this? Who's liking that? And they trying to figure out things, but people need validation. And first validation should be yourself. You should validate that. Validate yourself and be comfortable with who you are. But when you need to run the social media, run the group chats, to tell, oh, he did that, she did that, you're nothing but a middle school kid. Middle schooler. You're a middle schooler. And the reason why I keep saying middle schooler because that is the true age of where counseling kicks in because they're at that point in life that with development, either they may still act young and immature like elementary kids, or they may be leaning toward, okay, I'm on point trying to get to high school. So they're in between. Their emotions is all over the place because of hormones and stuff. And no different from grown ass people who have to who have similar traits and have to respond the way that you do. It just blows my mind, but I know that'll be coming. And everybody, oh, look what he got me. He got you the same shit. And I remember having one of my former co-host or host that I did a show with. Shout out to Kelly, uh, Kelly A. Renee when she came up with side piece gifts and all that stuff, which, which was
Oh,
which was
I didn't know
hilarious,
it
whatever.
existed.
And, and saying how that's the day after Valentine's Day and a list of things that you could get a guy for side piece day and all that stuff. And it's real, but it's what it's what you put into it or how you feel about yourself and what you allow to happen. If you strong in what you believe in and what you stand in, you're like, man, I ain't thinking about that shit because my time is occupied. So I'm not gonna be worried about what the next person do. They gotta worry if they can fit in my schedule. But when you're bored and you're watching what everybody else get or do and you start making comparisons, yeah, that's probably one of the downfalls because when Herb mentions NDAs or not saying this or saying that, you can't help but to say something because you want to be validated because your home girl or you see other people doing this and you're not getting that treatment, but this is the man that you're giving yourself to, and but you agree with it along the way, but now you want more.
Yeah.
You want more. You want y'all posted up on pictures. Why we don't never look? They look so cute, whatever. Why we don't never post pictures or say what we doing? But you know that's not the type of party that y'all agreed on. Get over yourself, people.
It's it's tough, especially in this particular age that we're in, where the social media becomes the currency. And and honestly, I empathize with people, or for people, I should say, who have to go that route. Me, from now until the day that I no longer breathe, I do not need to put anything on social media regarding what I've done with food. Matter of fact, when I went to Vegas, I went live twice. I was out there for 3 days. And the only people that actually knew were the people I told them until I actually went live. Now, I could have been out there with somebody. Guess what? Nobody would know by my social media. You got people that'll tag their departure and arrival from locations when they fly out. I didn't do that. I don't check in. Sorry, I don't check in. I don't check out. But people do. They want you to know, hey, look, I'm traveling. Or and they may do it for safety's sakes too. So some people know, I've landed, I'm good, whatever the case is. So everybody has their own reason and rationale for doing things. Me, I don't want nobody keeping that close a tab on me. I'm sorry. I'm not married. If I was married, yeah, it might be a different story. Yeah, babe, I just landed. Because I will tell people, certain things. I just landed here, going to the next terminal to take my connecting flight to here. Because I had a really good time out there, even though I went by myself. Yeah, I did. Plans I fell through. But, for me, my plans are always concrete. So once the rails and the cars hit, that's it. My train don't come off the track for nobody for no reason whatsoever. Just like when I went down there for my birthday and homegirl pulled out on the basketball game. I called David up. Said, Dave, what you doing? I said, let's come through and see the game. My plans do not stop. And this is what people have to realize, that you have to get to a point in your life where you are okay doing things by yourself, not alone, but by yourself. And some people will say, well, what's the difference between alone and by yourself? Very good question. The difference is this: when you do something by yourself, you are validating that you are enough to have an enjoyable time with. I know that sounds crazy. Who the hell enjoys their own company? People that are self fulfilled, self validating, self motivating. They know that they don't need anyone else around them to make them feel alive. Some people can't do that. No, man, I got to. It's just like some guys say, oh man, no, I can't go 2 or 3 months without having sex, man. And then they wonder why they get caught up with some wild female who dents his car, who's who's at his apartment at 2 o'clock in the morning talking about, I know you got somebody in there. I see another car sitting out here. Didn't sign the NDA, got out of the role, caught feelings, and now you got to deal with an angry side piece, all because you didn't vet that chick properly. You didn't sit down and have the discussions about, hey, look, it ain't your day. Your day is Wednesday nights between 11 a.m. I'm sorry, 11 p.m. and 6 a.m. It's Tuesday. What you doing out here? Causing all kinds of mischief and chaos and ruckus. You don't have to call the police. Go ahead and call the police. I'll show up at your job too. Now you got somebody that want to blow up your spot at home. They want to come through your job. Now you ain't got no rest, all because of you didn't understand the assignment in terms of how to be alone. You know how to say, hey, look, when I turn off the bedroom light, my bed doesn't need to be occupied by anybody other than me. I'm good. When you get to that level in life, whether it be a male or female, you become omnipotent. And a lot of people don't like that. You think you better than everybody else. Nah, I just know my strengths. I just know my weaknesses, and you know I can cut you off at any time, despite how good the sex is, because my peace is more valuable. I value my peace. I value my sanity. I don't need you coming through here disrupting what I got going on.
Let me just interrupt with that. When I've spoken on this before with that statement about somebody thinking they're better than the next person. If you asking that question, you already gave them the answer. You already gave them the answer that you think that they're better, and you just probably want to validate it for them to say, "Yeah, I am better than your ass, your raggedy ass. Yeah, I am." And most people won't be that harsh, but they may feel it and say, "Yeah, exactly, I am." Because even, and I always tell the story of one of my teachers, and I would tell them that, you know, I struggled with that, and people would say that to me. Oh, you think you better than? I'm like, no, we came from the same circumstances. Some things I just don't tolerate or don't get involved, but certainly I don't try to show that. I just may not be engaged with certain activities. And my professor said, well, David, if you came from the same walk of life, same circumstances, same socioeconomic status, and you decided to go another route to improve yourself, you are better than that person. You are better than the person. See, only people who don't plan to reach a certain level say stuff like that. You think you better than me. What type of winner has that attitude? Uh, because somebody a winner who feel like, or a competitor, and may feel, yeah, that person doing better than me. They go to the lab and say, shit, how can I get to that level?
Yeah.
How can I get to that level? So they'll never look down on me because I'm right there. Only the people who now, you think you better than me. You think you better than me. You know, people like that, you want to say, get the fuck out my face, talking, whatever. Like, but that's how that works, whatever. So if you asking that question, you're already telling that person that you think that they're better than you. Because people know that they got things going on, they moving, they're not even thinking about that shit because they're not looking behind. They're only moving forward because there's people that they're trying to get to another level and they're chasing. Like, shit, I got to get to this level. I got made it here. I got to get here. So they're not even thinking about your raggedy ass. They're trying to move forward. So that's how that works, people.
And to do that, that requires an enormous amount of, I don't necessarily want to say drive, but it requires you to achieve certain benchmarks that you set for yourself. And it doesn't necessarily have to be anybody else. It doesn't necessarily have to be financial. It could be something in terms of you wanted to lose weight, something in terms of you wanted to make a certain amount of money, uh, a promotion, or a degree. It's when you start setting benchmarks for yourself and you meet them or you exceed them and you look at the people you associate with and you say, they've been talking about doing this, but that's all they do. All they do is JBT. They just be talking. So you find yourself at a crossroads now. You want to elevate, and you start to ask yourself, is my crew willing to rise with me, or are they gonna stay here? And that's a hard question because you might have some friends from high school, even though you went to college, you go back home and they still on the block doing the same thing. They may have produced 2 or 3 kids, and you see their kids, and their kids don't look like they're doing well. Like you know, they're fed, they're dressed, but you see how they behave, and you see the mothers and how they interact with each other, and it's wretched behavior. It's stuff that you don't want to be associated with. It's stuff you don't want to be around. You say, I can't do this anymore. I gotta break ties with this cat, man. Or I gotta break ties with her. And they don't start to see you anymore. You come around less, you text less, you call less. When you're in school and it's spring break or semester break, you going somewhere else. And they call you up. They say, "Damn, dude, I ain't seen you in a short, man. I just been busy, man. I moved up here. I got a spot up here." They say, man, I need to come down." You say, "You know what? All right, let me see if I can find some time in my schedule." And you never find time in your schedule. And it happens. And it's hard. But those are some of the things that you have to do. And that comes with that discipline. So there's nothing wrong with hey, you being better than somebody. It just means you make better decisions. Doesn't mean that person's not worth anything. Doesn't mean that person's lousy. That just, hey, if I'm looking to move into a career where I'm associating with um, people who are lawyers, architects, teachers, professional people, then I gotta step into that realm. And stepping into that realm means I gotta leave these street cats alone. I gotta leave alone the people who are out here producing multiple children with multiple people, and they're not doing anything. I'm not saying that people who have multiple children with multiple people aren't worth anything. You got some people who have multiple children with multiple people who are holding it down. When you go to the house is orderly, the kids are well behaved, and the mother of the children, they know better than to step out of line because that's not going to be tolerated. They say that wretched behavior for somebody else. When they come to that door, they know, hey, button up. It's not going down here. Say that shit right out there. When my kids come here, they better be dressed, they better be well mannered, and they gonna behave because I'm gonna see to it. And that doesn't happen with a lot of people. And this is why you see it in the schools. You see it in on social media with these kind of fights with these young girls. And I rarely recall seeing a fight with young females when I was, matter of fact, it was rare to see a female fight at all, regardless of the age. I mean, that was something that was strictly reserved for guys. And the only time you actually really saw females get into a fight was generally over a guy. Somebody says something about somebody's guy, and they were trying to creep up on him, and she's like, "Yo, look, I told you, leave him alone. He's mine." It's almost like, I think that's a Brandy song. You may have had him once, but I got him all the time. And yo, that was about the only time I saw fights with females, but it happens. I mean, you have to disassociate yourself from those people so you can move on, you know. And every so often, I'll get back to the topic, every so often, a fella might move on, might disassociate from the people, but guess what he don't do? He don't leave them women alone because that's what he's got a taste for. And that's the type of stuff that draws a lot of guys back is they can't leave that class of woman alone. Shout out to the BGS with the octane scale. He's accustomed to dealing with the wretches. So even though he's moved to different locations, this goes for women too. They're accustomed to dealing with that hood cat, the Jordans, the Air Force Ones. She's used to dealing with them, so she's got to have one. The roughneck, Timbo's dragging, Kyle Kanai sagging. She got to have one. Gotta have one, and that is the bigger problem more so than anything else. Is the class of people that, and I'll say we, because I'm not immune to it. Every so often, I find myself looking at something that I just am repulsed by, but I'm just like, damn, boys, she got this, she got that. And next thing you know, I'm looking. I'm like, I don't know about
Uh, one of the points I wanted to go back to when we were talking about comparing and identifying and looking towards other, I always like to tell the story of, it is Black History Month, uh, of Kobe and Jordan. When you talk about thinking somebody's better than you, and really, if you really feel that way, then you should try to kind of link up with that person to get to where you going. And I was thinking about reading, I think the Black Mamba or the book. Some I read that Jordan, and I think he said it at Kobe's memorial, that Kobe was always chasing greatness to be better than Mike, and no matter what, like even though Mike had him by years, but Kobe relished that opportunity, and every opportunity he got, he was in Mike's ear asking questions, and to the point that Mike became like his big brother. And Mike would say, man, no matter what, he was calling me all times of the hours of the night. Like, yo, Mike, when this person do this, they do that. What should you do? And Mike was like, he kind of felt compelled to pick up the phone and would give him an answer. Uh, but he kind of knew what he was doing. Like he was trying to prepare. Like, yo, I'm gonna be the next best thing after Mike. So he was learning from the master, questioning him, getting inside his head. And when you have that ability, and those people that you feel they're above you, if they take a liking to you, they're gonna give you some jewels. They're gonna tell you what to do, especially if you're consistent and persistent. And I think that's what Kobe was as far as that. And a lot of people would say, oh, he wanted to be just like Mike. He wanted to be like that. But when you think about it, Kobe had better skills than Mike. He had better skills than maybe nobody was more determined to win. But when you think about a better shooter, better handle, and all that stuff, Kobe was that dude. Footwork and all that stuff. But he still went to the master. And I don't want to use it. And I know how y'all get tired with words of masters, but as they say, the goat or whatever, he went to him for answers. So when you trying to when you're trying to chase again that silver bullet or trying to get somewhere, there's people that may already be there that you have to try to make connections with them. I wouldn't have got an education if it went for Tony Miller at Now University. Shout out to Tony. I mean, he was my advisor at Now University. I didn't told the story. He ripped me a new one. I went back to my uh, dorm room, cried, and said, I got to get better. But he already had believed in me. And, and I wasn't living up to my promise. But he set me on a path to be successful. I kind of deviated against that. But then when I had to self reflect, I said, "Man, I got to get my shit together," and that's one of the things. And even when you think about this whole side piece thing, whatever, if you want to be in that starring role, sometimes you got to get your shit together because there's a reason why there's a void that they're missing. And they're out there again. I always say chasing that silver bullet.
Mhm.
So we have talked about the emotional void, thrill seeking, maybe a lack of intimacy. People want to be validated. Escape or distraction is the reason why someone has someone else. But if you play your role, the role right, shit, you may be the star in that movie one day. You may be. You may be, but you have to play it. You have to play it right. You have to. Less is more. The more people you get that let them know about it, probably the worse your predicament gonna be. So sometimes you just, girl, what you do last night? You know he was over there. You ain't got to tell it. You ain't got to tell it. You had a rough day at work. You was asleep. Here we was calling you and texting you. Oh, I was knocked out. You was getting it was well, you was knocking something up, but you don't have to tell everything. You do not have to. And my grandmother would say, you do not have to run your. You do not have to tell everything. It, that's probably some of y'all greatest downfalls because I can't keep it to you. You gotta. It just feels so good. You just gotta let it go. He was over here. He was over here. Just gotta let everybody know. And please, 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 please.
And you know what? To follow what he said, and to actually and to give you guys a little bit of direction, if you will, you can come from being a side piece to the main course. Now, it might be easier said than done, but it certainly isn't impossible. But you have to look at what it is that the individual that you want to qualify for as the main course wants, or or more importantly, needs. Now, let's say you come over to this person's home or apartment or whatever the case is, and they're disorganized. They're always losing the keys. They can't find this. You say, "Hey, babe, why don't we try this? Leave this here because you're good at organizational skills. Leave this here, this here. When you come here, I'm gonna buy you something. I'm gonna buy you a key ring. So when you come here, put your keys up there. Leave your remote here. I'm gonna do this for you. I'm gonna do this for you." All of a sudden, that person starts to say, "You know what? I never looked at things quite like that." You've planted a seed in this individual's head, and you gave them a glimpse into the future of what things will be like, if you will, around more.
Mm.
And this person says, "You know what? Okay, I see. I see you working. So your normal days that you hang out, y'all do your thing is Thursday. You get contacted Tuesday, and they say, 'Hey, what are you doing?' I don't have any plans tonight. Let's go and have dinner about 6. Now you skeptical because this is breaking protocol, but you indulge them. Y'all get out to the restaurant, nice place. You didn't think this person really did this kind of thing, and starts laying it out, starts hitting towards expanding the time that y'all spend together, and the way y'all spend time together. You looking for the trap, And he says, nah, you showed me something. And he says, this is something that I low key have been looking for since I moved. And I just want you to know that. I just want to keep it above board. I just want to keep it above. So, this is what I'm thinking. This is what I'm looking forward to. Now, you go back home that night and saying, okay, do I really want to go down that path? I'm content with the way things are. But clearly, he's demonstrating that he's willing and probably able to give me more. Now, the question is, can I handle more? I got out of a bad relationship that lasted about 4 years. I thought it was going to lead to marriage. He doesn't know I had an abortion, so I'm kind of, in a state of limbo. So the next time y'all meet, Thursday, normal Thursday night, y'all did your bedroom shenanigans. You sitting there or laying there talking, and you give him this information. Now everything he was cool with, except for when you told him you terminated the pregnancy. Now he's quizzical. He wants to know why you still haven't completely healed from it. You still haven't got to the point where you're comfortable talking about it. It hasn't given him a reason to not consider what he has already considered. But it's a revelation to him, and he's saying, okay, what else has she not disclosed? So now you give him a moment to pause. It's not a good thing, it's not a bad thing. He's doing his due diligence, he's being cautious, and he's saying, should I keep the situation like it is? Or should I still look into promoting her to the number one rank? She's like, all right, I'll keep it under advisement, but we still gonna go forward because he's looking at this as pros and cons. He's saying, you know what? That was what she did with this individual. That was some odd years ago. She may not be fully recovered, but it seems that she's on the path to that because she was able to discuss it with me and not have too much trepidation about doing so. That's good. That's progress. And in that moment, that bridge starts to get built. She's building from one side, he's building from the other side, and it's like the arch, the arches, the St. Louis Arch along the Mississippi River. You come together, and you make that connection. So now that connection is made, Joshua was saying, okay, you know what? What's next? So down there, I had a conversation. Okay, now we know what we want, and y'all make it happen together. But that's not to say this happens all the time. But if you're going to make that leap from side piece to that piece, those are the things you have to do. I'm not telling you to do it. I'm not suggesting that you do it. I'm just saying if you want to follow that path, then you have to make sure that what you're doing takes you down that path the right way and not the wrong way. Because some of y'all just want to try and shoehorn your way into a situation that ain't for you. And then when the situation goes awry, you want to complain about it and say, "Oh, he ain't no good," or "She was manipulative, he was toxic, or she was this." Both of y'all at fault. You at fault for wanting to bridge the gap to something where that was the only thing she was good for you for. Same thing with her. He was only good in bed, consistently unemployed. Will work here for 4 months, get fired, go get this job and work here for 6 months in the spot. He's gonna keep a job. Got a weed habit. But this is who you chose as your side piece. And you want You blame everybody else except yourself. When somebody told you, look, he ain't no good or she ain't no good. She already had her kids taken away from her by CPS because she was doing this, and he got multiple kids, and he just got out of jail. Nobody wants to listen to somebody telling them something because they think they know better. Sometimes you got to take the information that's presented to you, weigh it, and then say, you know what he or she potentially could give me, can I get somewhere else in a better person? Yeah, go get the better person. Leave that broken individual alone because they will break you.
Yeah. And I think sometimes those irrational choice making decisions could be the death of you, that if you don't take the time to weigh out certain things or certain individuals. Listen, some guys are solid. You may know that they have two or three side pieces. It's a reason. It's a reason why they're able to do that, because there's something about that person that allure women to that individual. And you may look at it and say, he need to, or people, he need to sit his old ass down somewhere, or whatever the case is. But clearly, he has that it factor to be able to do it. Again, if you sit back and observe and take heed, and you realize that, man, I used to only get that one day every 2 weeks or that one day a week, but then it started becoming more. Shit, you already know. You working your way. You just evidently you did something to earn more time than you originally had. So don't try to change up. Keep doing what you're doing. But no, you gotta run your mouth and tell your people, and they're like, "Well, how long you gonna put up with that? How long you gonna deal with that? Ain't no way, ain't no way." Uh, but those same people be the same ones that, remember, he got two or three side pieces, and they're probably one of them. They're probably one of them, and they're trying to deter you off and be like, "Well, if I could remove her from him, that opens up the door for me. So let me speak badly on him or her so that I can get the time."
Yeah.
I know that people might like, oh, it doesn't really happen like that, but in real time, you probably, no one probably breaks it down like that. But in real time, we know this stuff happens. We know that you have mom dukes, whatever, sitting around fussing and carrying on, mad because she's sexually frustrated, financially frustrated. Soon as Melvin pop up, all of a sudden, shit, she telling y'all to go get her pocketbook, giving out a few dollars, go play. Y'all could go stay the night at somebody's house, and y'all normally don't. And she getting fulfilled. she's getting, she's getting fulfilled, and you notice as you start getting older, man, I don't like him, and these boys start, I don't like him, but damn, when he come around, mom different. She be in better mood. She ain't even fussing and carrying on like that. Because Melvin probably told her, like, yo, you don't got to do all that, man. Let them
Yeah.
chill time. Just chill, whatever. Get off their back, whatever. And y'all, and then the kids like, he all right. When he come over, she totally different. She pleasant. But when y'all ain't do this, y'all ain't clean up y'all room, shut that up, y'all can't have company, this and that. Melvin come through, shit, it's a free fall. All your little kids could come by, company could go by, y'all could go stay the night. She telling y'all to go in that pocketbook to get a few dollars, whatever. Man, it's a lot of power in compliance.
And you know, it's funny you say that because that's true as hell especially with a lot of women once they get to be middle age and perimenopause starts to set in. That one guy, literally, he can turn that entire situation around just by his mere presence sometimes. And people will say, how? Because the French call it the je ne sais quoi. I don't know what. He just fits her. She knows when he comes by, she ain't got to worry about nothing. She know when he comes by, he's reliable. She know that when he comes by, he's going to bring something. He's just not coming there to take. He's also, like David said, he's fulfilling something that she needs. And it doesn't, and a lot of people will make the mistake of saying, it's physical. It doesn't always have to be physical. It can be physiological, but it doesn't always have to be physical. And you know what? She may want it on occasion. She may say, you know what? Like David said, go get my purse. Y'all go stay at your friend's house tonight. It's a weekend. Okay, go stay at your friend's house. You got my permission. Let them know you're coming. Yada yada. I'm gonna send you with the bag. It's adult night tonight. We can go have us a nice dinner. We can come back here. We can move some furniture. We can do some mahogany furniture move. We getting it in. But this is and that's all from being a side piece. She ain't made it official. And she tell the kids, keep your motherfucking mouth closed. I don't want to hear about this from anybody. Why? Shut up. We're going, and so when the rule comes out, we're going in this house, stay in this house. This is my business. This is adult business. Stick to kids' business. Don't be putting out in the street what I do. It ain't their business. And some people are offended by that. They'll say, well, if you ain't got nothing to hide, why are you being secretive? There's a difference between being secretive and keeping your business your business. Okay, I'm gonna say that one more time. There's a difference between being secretive and keeping your business your business. Your business is just that. Nobody got to know who occupying your bed at night. It could be Melvin. It could be a long lost friend of Melvin's. Ain't none of no one's business. Do what makes you happy. Do what keeps you centered. Do what brings you joy. Do what brings you peace and keeps peace. Because as long as you keep it a peace, you're gonna be peaceful. It's the people who don't keep the peace that aren't peaceful. You ever see that? You go to somebody's house and all you hear is yelling. You don't even want to go in the house because you don't want to hear yelling. You say, no, I'll sit in the car, wait till she come out. Because all it is yelling. It's that tension. It's that stress. And you saying, oh my God, how do you live like that? She said, child, man, them kids they don't listen. Well, damn, you yell at them all the time. Try talking to them. And just like Dave said, he might be that person to say, hey, look, you don't have to treat them like that. They kids. She said, yeah, but they never do anything I ask. And he said, come here for a minute. What did your mother ask you to do? She always yelling at me. Okay, do you know why she yells? No, because do you know why she yells? Yeah, because you got to tell me to do something multiple times. Okay. What she asked you to do the first time, just do it. No. It's not if you want to or not. She's your mother. You live in here. The least you can do is do what she asks you to do. What she's asking you to do is not hard. Okay. And they go off and they do it. You come back next time. I heard, and this is gonna rub some people the wrong way, and I don't care. He said, come here. I heard you got into some situation in school. What happened? No. I'm not here to discipline you. I just want to know what happened. Well, this kid did this and this kid did that and I did this. And say, okay, next time this happens, you know what I want you to do? Leave the classroom, go tell somebody else. Because you say your teacher's not doing anything. Yeah, but I get in trouble. You know what? You're right. But you're getting in trouble anyway. You get in trouble doing the right thing and not in trouble doing the wrong thing. And then all of a sudden the owner shifts. They say, oh, I never thought about it like that. Sometimes people outside of your primary relationship or your primary home can see things that you can't see. So he brings peace to that woman. And she's saying, look, you can this house has never been this peaceful. You can do you can matter of fact, I would appreciate it if you come through 3 or 4 times every week. Next thing you know, not only is she getting the kids money, she in there cooking. And they say, Mom, you ain't never cooked before. Why are you cooking now? Oh, it's because of him. What's so special about him? Nothing. He just treats me well. He listens to me. He
But
does right by y'all. That's all he need to do.
the one thing about kids, they're perceptive, and
Hmm.
they'll understand that he makes my mommy feel good. We like him. Our daddy and my mommy used to fight all
Hmm.
the time, and she would be sad.
Hmm.
So we like Melvin
Hmm.
coming through here. We like Melvin coming through here. He makes our days better.
Hmm.
Because at the end of the day, again, kids want structure. They want to be around a happy environment. When it's not those needs are not getting met, it's chaotic. And when the center of the nurturing process, the mother, is broken down and not at her best, imagine how the household gonna run.
Yeah.
When she balled up in a fetal position, sad, mad, broke, frustrated. Shit, the house is just a train wreck. Cause she the conductor.
Hmm.
Women, y'all got that. When y'all on y'all point, y'all got that. Guys, we can do this and that, but y'all know how to run households. Y'all know how to multitask. Y'all got executive function skills. Not saying we can do it, but a lot of times we relinquish that.
Yeah.
You got this, baby. You got this. Whatever you need to keep this show running, I got it. I'm gonna support it.
Yeah.
And so we saying all this to be saying that sometimes in these situations, you gotta. Sometimes people play second fiddle to get to where they need to get, and that's probably being inclusive, being to yourself, and not getting out of, well, maybe that's not getting out of character, but just not putting everything out there. See, the ones that put everything out there, those are the messy ones, whatever, and they messy people won't want to create mess all over,
Yeah.
no matter where they go. They messy at if they're messy at home, they're messy at their job, they'll be messy at an event, messy at family functions. They leave a trail of mess behind. It's in them. That's what they know to do. Even if they try to fake it, they somehow go make a mistake and leave a mess somewhere. You only can wear a mask so long. But when you steadfast and you like consistent, like, yeah, I'm dealing with him. I know this situation. Or a guy, I know her situation, but it brings me peace. And I'm not trying to say that I'm trying to like advocate for this. I'm just letting you know like why does it take place for some people, eh, and why it doesn't. And I know some people will rebuke this and say, "No, I don't do this, I don't do that." But I beg to differ. I beg to differ. Uh, just based on experiences, whatever, and it's not a global experience, but I just have a hunch. I just have a little inkling that the people who be adamant and huffing and puffing about what they don't do is probably the biggest bullshitters that will end up doing it.
Yeah, nobody really wants to, dare I say, be made a liar. People, they want to hold on to certain things they believe, whether it's accurate or inaccurate about themselves. And that's why change for a lot of people becomes really, really difficult because they bought into a narrative about themselves that just simply isn't true. This is why they say, you know, don't necessarily speak to that person about how they view themselves. Ask their friends, ask their closest friends about how they behave during stressful situations. How do they behave when their back is against the wall? Or how they behave when things don't go their way. And through those things, you'll get a more exact and an accurate assessment of who that individual is during those situations. Because pressure reveals a lot about people. And they, like the old adage, pressure bursts pipes. It can also make you too. You get some people that you put them under the pressure, they'll be like, look, uh that's not gonna happen. I'm gonna put my foot down. This is how this is gonna go. And then you see them develop the mentality that's necessary for them to forge ahead. And they'll say, oh man, I never thought I would get out of that situation. Well, what? They've never been in that situation. So they never really had to deal with that situation. Now that they understand what it takes to get through that situation, the next time they see that situation, they say, oh, I've seen this before. I know what to do. I know how to get out of this. And that's growth. That is the purest form of growth that an individual can undergo. This is why you see athletes. They say, in a moment of pressure, how will he or she react? They come through roses. So the next time they see it, they say, oh shit. Are you kidding me? You gonna do this again? You don't think I don't recognize it? This is why they talk about Michael's ability to perform under pressure. This is why when certain quarterbacks in the NFL, they say, look, you don't want to put him in that position. Should he come through every time? And some people are knocked for it. They say, he can't handle the pressure. The spotlight too great. Maybe true. May not be true. It may be something that's always there just to knock them off kilter just a bit so they can't complete that task. And it happens. It happens. Some people are unfairly labeled for it. All you can do is say, look, when the chips are down, I was there. I didn't run. I was not successful, but I showed up. And sometimes showing up is about the only thing you can do. Some situations are never going to work out for you. They're never going to work out for an individual. And there's nothing you can do. There's no amount of prayer. There's no absolution. Hey, you just got to ride that cart down that steep incline until either it stops or it crashes. Some people gonna blame you for it. They can say, "Well, it's your fault. You should have did this. You should have did that." You gotta take it how it comes.
I mean, it's a lot. All of this stuff is about personal development. We all have our. I think I just made a post maybe yesterday about we all have darkness in our life, some things that we may not be proud about, some things that we know we need to work on. Uh, Again, I guess the whole thing is when it comes to like how do you handle it? Uh, Either you could do it in a manner that you're making self improvement and things are changing and things are improving, or you could put all your stuff out there for everybody to be in your business to know about every little thing and all that. It's part of growing up, the process of going through stuff. There's no written manual that people, you know, for the overly religious people, they who live their life and quote the Bible and all that stuff, they will tend to think that they have the perfect manuscript to success. But I've seen a lot of them that's shit more of a hot mess than anybody. But people, so it's up to you. It's you're gonna have your shortcomings. You may have certain relationships, but the bottom line is if you're again, I'll go back to I always say the miracle question, and I just give one of my little eighth graders the miracle question today. When of course they call themselves dating, is your world better with or without that person? And you answer that question, and you say, she answered it today. The young lady said, my world is better without him. There's your decision. Eh, it's less frustrating. I have less anxiety. These is her words. Less anxiety, less drama. I'm okay. So that's the question. Is your world better with or without that person? If you say, man, no matter what, the times we get into it, but damn, he or she helped me out a lot. Damn, they made me feel this way. Damn, I was able to accomplish this, and the good outweighs the bad. That I don't want to let that person go. Then you know what the answer is. Simple question, miracle question: is your world better with or without that person? And if oftentimes you feel this things are toxic and it's not good, then you have to walk away.
Yeah.
You have to do what you got to do. It's not rocket science. And especially as you get older, we damn sure don't need any added stress. Going to work every day is freaking stressful. Working with coworkers and all that shit that you only got to deal with for 7, 8 hours, but 7, 8 hours you there, 6 of the hours they freaking trying to annoy and aggravate you the whole time. Because some people, that's what they wake up to do, to be aggravators, instigators, be miserable. So until you get that autonomy to step away and control your own fate. And sometimes that's what happens in relationships. You have to get to the point to say, man, I got to step away. And once you be able to get that, you get that reprieval to say, man, I could breathe, man. Life feel good, man, because it was felt like I was walking around with an elephant on my chest for years.
Mm.
That shit hurt big time. Big trust on that one.
Yeah. Transformations are they're not easy. Um, because ultimately you have to find a spot that's going to allow you to flourish without too much criticism. And what I mean by that is this. Let's take an individual who had gastric bypass surgery. They dropped 130 pounds, but they're still in the same environment that led them to be overweight to begin with. So you got people being critical, or you think, like David said earlier, or you think you lost because you lost that weight, you look good. Well, that's the object of losing the weight, is to look better, to feel better, to be healthier. But if you're surrounded by people who are just toxic and they undermine your every effort to improve, nothing you do will be good enough. That's why when a lot of people they start to undergo life changes, the first thing they want to do is they want to see and talk to somebody who's a counselor. So they can deal with all those things. They can say, well, what about this person? I have this person that every time I do something, they're always critical. And like David just said, is it like better with them or is it better without them? And that counselor is going to tell you in no certain terms, because they don't want to be responsible for the outcome, but they're going to say, hey, look, you got a decision to make. And you might drag your feet. You're going to say, hey, I'm not comfortable making this decision because that means I'm going to have to probably lose, and I mentioned this earlier, lose some friends that I've known for 20 years. If you got to lose some friends that you've known for 20 years because they're a deterrent to your success, that's not a friend you need. Oh, that's an enemy. Gotta let him go. I would not tell you to take a key and stick it in a light socket, but that's what you're doing. You're taking that key every time you talk to him, you stick it in the light socket. Eventually your nerves gonna get fried. You're gonna say, what the hell am I doing? This is insane. This is madness. But here you go. Every time you talk to them, every time you call them, they got something going on, something wrong. The baby daddy done did this. The kids are messing up in school. They ain't got money for this. You say, look, I'm tired of it. I got my own problems. I'll call you just to relax. I don't call to get inundated with your problems. I don't have time for it. You gotta come. It happens. It happens. Sometimes you go, you gotta get away. Gotta go.
Yeah. So when I think about the whole thing, navigating through side pieces, it's not so much side pieces. Those are just people that's in your circle. It's navigating through life. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes side pieces are a part of life or other people that you have. This whole thing, there's no perfect pilots to life. So we all fall and bump our heads and go through, again, tough patches and stuff. But it's the people that are willing to make you rebound and all that. If and friends, family members, all included. If every time you talk to someone it's negative
Mm-hmm.
and everything that they share is negative, oh, my job is this, oh, this is that, and they never talk about anything promising or any future goals or outlets or anything like that. You gotta let those side pieces go too, because they side distractions, whatever. So I think everything is side piece is not always about intimacy and all that.
Right.
It's other people that's on the side too that's are distractors for you to get where you want to get. So you have to eliminate them. When you at work, there's always going to be people, coworkers that come in. You're like, oh my God, here she go, here they go again, complaining about this. I was having a good day. They come in with their family issues, home issues, and all that stuff. And I'm just trying to get through the day. I'm working. I'm happy. I got the next couple of days off. I do not want to deal with this shit for 8 hours to listen to. Sometimes you got to let those side distractions, side pieces go, whatever. All this stuff we always talk about, it's all intertwined. It's all linked together. And the more skills you get, the better you are. Hey man, like I keep saying, I'm trying to get out of the side piece of education. 'Cause it's a distraction and it's make you want to go places. But at the same breath, I do enjoy some elements of it. So I'm never gonna let nothing break me down totally. But I know there's greater things ahead, and that's the one thing any individual have to try to forecast. What's greater ahead for you? What are some things, short term goals or long term goals that's ahead for you that you want to work on? 'Cause if you're not, again, we talked about this earlier when I talked about bored. If you that bored and you ain't got no goals or 2 year plans, 3 year plans, 5 year plans, short plans, because you can have plan. Once you put a plan together, the boredom should go away because you should be working on that. And every opportunity you get, you should be trying to fulfill that. So, my closing comments to this conversation for all you folks that's bored or you feel the need, let everybody know every move you make. Uh, hey, you probably gonna keep getting the same results over and over. Nothing will probably change. You always have side pieces, side distractions until you're able to. I think the great Russell Simmons said, sometimes be single minded, focus on the goal. Like, let me block out, let me just accomplish this. This is what I want to do right now. This is the most important thing that I want to accomplish. So I'm going to get rid of everything on the side and focus on that until you able to do that. Shit, you're going to be 40, 50, 60, 70 talking about the same shit. So sooner or later, something got to stop. You got to live and live with a smile. A lot of times we living. The question people always ask: are you living or are you just existing?
Yeah.
So when are we gonna live with a smile and be like, man, shit ain't nothing. I don't got no worries. I ain't the richest person, but what I got, I'm always smiling. I got peace. I got peace, and I don't even have a side piece.
Shoehorns, man. They're good for getting you in things. They can also be good for getting you out of things. How you use it, it's up to you. And that is all I have. You know the gray matter.
All right, folks, we out on to the next one. Everybody continue to stay warm, stay safe, whatever, stay safe or whatever. And despite everything that's going on in these streets with these parking spots and all that stuff that's going on, people fighting and carrying on because somebody tried to some side piece tried to slide up in a parking spot. We got to keep it moving, whatever. We got to. That's a whole discussion right there, but it's a lot going on out in this world, whatever, between ice and uh the winter storm behaviors and all that stuff. It's so many side distractions that we got going on that sooner or later you have to reflect, sit to yourself and say, this is what I gotta focus on. I can't worry about all that shit. I gotta focus on this and be able to block out certain things because gotta buckle up. 2026. We thought 2025 was wild. 2026 it's gonna be quite interesting. Uh, so hey, guess we gotta stay sharp up here and be mentally prepared to accomplish everything we need to accomplish. But with that said, we out on to the next one. Everybody, continue being great. Stay focused. Stay locked in, and pay attention to your surroundings. It's getting wild out here. It's getting real wild. All right, people, we out. Peace.
Take care.